around. Those will continue coming around as we're called into order here. For the invocation, Mr. Brown, would you please provide us with the invocation today?
Dear Lord, our Father, our Creator and Sustainer, you are omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. And in all those things, we seek your wisdom. We hope that the things that you have written for us, that we will take to heart, that we will be able to use them in our lives, be the examples that we should be before men. Help us to always understand that we are here for the welfare of the citizens in this county. And we give you the glory as to what you have done for us, especially the sacrifice of your Son upon the cross. Help us to always understand the need to be forthright with one another, to do things selflessly. Because, Lord, we know that it's only through service to others that we can gain hope of eternal salvation. Help us to do those things that are right in your sight. Be with us tonight as we do those business items for this county. Be with those that did suffer the earthquake in Japan, and Lord, we know that they are going through tremendous struggles right now. We ask this in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Take one and pass it. Eric, can you take one of these?
Yeah, so without contest here, I'd like to make the following changes to this agenda prior to approval, all requested me by various members of this committee. The first is a change to item 5A3. It is no longer $450,000. That should read $225,000.
You mean 6?
I'm sorry, 6. Yes, thank you. 6. New business under highway, item 3.
What is from 450 to what?
225.
225.
Also to add, again, under new business, item number 6, and that is to appropriate $42,133.10 for EMA for a payment issue item. And then number 7 is a discussion of an org chart. Under other items, this is the new business C2. This would be D under the IT department. This is a multi-year lease for the IT department. So without objection, I'd like to add those items and seek approval for this agenda.
I do, forgive me because I didn't get to talk to you before this. I want to add something, should go quick, about discussion of a 90-day extension for anybody that was affected by the December 9th tornadoes, homeowners, for property tax payments. I don't know if we can do that, but I guess if we got that on the discussion.
Yeah.
Is there, I mean, yeah, so I don't even know if we can do that, but I figured I'd ask anyway.
I don't think you can grant it.
Do you have this? I don't know an answer. Do you know?
Last I checked, it was statutory.
If-
It
if
is
I can-
statutory.
So,
We have until February 29th, they could research it.
I mean, I'm even open to, I'm just brainstorming here, if we could just waive the late fees, if someone can prove their home. See, the thing is, people have lost their job all of a sudden, they can't work right now, they just lost their income.
We can add it to discussion.
I mean, yeah,
We'll just add it to
yeah, I mean-
discussion tornado relief.
Where at?
It would be under, this would be under new business C, other items, it would be number 5.
You would actually have time to have it in February, because it won't be due, it wouldn't be delinquent to March 1.
We
And I
can,
know
we
it's the
can,
last
we can
minute,
just
but-
add it as a discussion item. This is going to be a lengthy agenda today, but we'll just go ahead and add tornado relief to other
And
items.
I have an item on the agenda.
Yes.
So I would like to remove the items that didn't go through committee per our rules.
So which ones would you like to?
Except for the ones that need timely addressing, such as the election office. So,
Okay.
we have rules that say things should go, I'm looking at,
Could you name which ones you would like to see removed?
yes. So Highway did not give us an approval for additional funds tonight.
Okay, so I'm gonna end up having to take a vote on some of these, that's okay.
The sheriff's office did not go through health and emergency management.
Okay,
The stormwater did not clear general ops. The sheriff's multi-year lease did not clear health and emergency.
Which one is that?
C1.
That was tonight.
Okay.
It came out 2 months ago.
see, well, I'm gonna get her asked, and then I'm gonna ask, Mr. Long about issues time.
Yes.
So,
we need to-
C1, the okay, got it.
So A3,
So A3,
A3, A4.
A3, all of A4.
A5.
did you say all of A4 or just A4F? You said,
All of 4, 'cause
All
none
of
of
4?
it, none of it went through health and emergency.
okay,
Okay,
all of 5.
And 5.
And 5 didn't clear
And
general ops.
C1.
I just want them to do their work. I don't
and
know their
C1.
wheelhouse.
Okay, is there any
And
others?
then you said C1?
C1 is the multi-lease. I don't know that, maybe that's a timing issue. Mr. Long can answer it.
They have.
Well, yeah, let me, I wanna go down each of these.
And then
I wanna
I-
get all of yours, and then I'm gonna go down and ask
And
each of
then
them.
I
There's
think
quite a bit
that
going on
C4
those.
should have went through general ops, but it's probably a timing issue with the election,
So
so.
let's just put it in there, and then we'll go down it. So
Yeah.
C4. Any others? So I just wanna
Does
make sure.
anyone else see anything that didn't go through committee?
So I'm gonna, I just wanna make sure I have what you got here. So,
I missed.
6, so under new business, item number 3, we haven't amended it yet, but the request for appropriations, everything under the sheriff's office, the stormwater project, so 3, 4, and 5 under new business A appropriations, and then new business C, 1 and 4. Because of that, I think we would also have to add, the ones that I'm suggesting adding,
Uh-huh.
which is 6, 7,
6, 7, I'm looking.
6,
Oh,
7,
The new things.
yeah, the new
Well,
things.
Org chart did clear general ops,
Okay, well then I can leave that.
because they recommended sending it to budget.
Would it be more appropriate, I'm happy to go either way here, maybe we can just take a vote on it, but it'd be more appropriate to leave these, and then as we get to them, motion to defer?
Yes.
I think that would probably be the right way to do this. So it would be a motion to defer once we get to these. I've got it noted which ones they are, and then if you have a motion to defer, your motion to defer would be because they had not cleared budget. I think that would probably be the right
You've got
way.
people here to talk on.
Yeah, so does that, I think that's, we do have a request on the floor, so if I need to take a vote for it, I'll do it. I do have yours,
Maybe easy to do one at a time.
so let's do this.
So, do we review, just as a matter, a point of our discussion, do we review our rules before we get to them? As far as like why we're supposed to be considered in committee, or do we do that when we first come to it, or we all know what the rules are? We're all
I
familiar
think
with the
we're familiar
rules.
with the rules.
Okay,
I don't think there's a question that some of these didn't go through the process.
Okay.
I don't think there's a question. I think we're good there.
I passed out copies of the rules for everybody.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a question on that. It's just a matter of how we want to address it. So I'm happy to take a vote on this if we'd like to take your vote, or if you want to
No,
just.
no, I'm good to-
You're good to just defer?
and then have a vote.
And then as we go down there, we'll take a vote to defer each time you want to move those up.
Well, the only thing is that I anticipate the ARPA discussion will go long, and if we have people speaking and we're not gonna speak, and we're not gonna address it. If we're having people wait and we're not
We
gonna do it.
only have 2 people speaking, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. Okay, so then, without objection, I would add those changes which I just made. We will keep these, we won't remove them, but then, as we will address them as they come for potential deferment, which I totally understand that rationale. So without objection, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We now have an agenda. Recognition of the public, Ms. Baker, Ms. Laura Baker.
Laura Baker, 424 Amy Wade Road. Good evening, Commissioners. My topic was actually what Commissioner Boyd just brought up. Most of these items didn't go through. I think you should have modified it and taken it off of here. You shouldn't even have discussion because any of the information we could be getting this evening from whomever is probably preliminary and not full information and just gonna cloud the issue when it should have never made it to the agenda in the first place. Not that it helps you by me second guessing that, and I apologize for that, but that's basically, I could go through each one of the items, but I think it's not worth it to do that, but just wanted to get that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Kevin Baker.
Kevin Baker, 424 Amy Wade Road, especially when she's got the cleanup hitter coming up behind. So, yeah, you know, I think one of the things I'm very concerned about is reverting back to the old days. And just what I just witnessed, I get the sense that we're back to the sky is falling mentality. You know, if it's not on the agenda early, y'all should just defer it. Don't let everybody run around here and tell you that it's a crisis. But that's just my 2 cents. So I was reviewing some of the things on here. The 3-star grant for $50,000. To me, this is just a backdoor way of funding Forward Sumner. You know, I read through this thing, and first of all, I'm kind of embarrassed when we have a grant that says we have a one-of-a-kind countrywide alignment. Gosh, all across the country we're aligned. And then I read through and I see things like the baseline data to be filled out later, target values. If I ever went to my boss and said, oh yeah, I'll fill in the data later, kind of thing. But more importantly, we sat here through highway, and we're talking about funding highway department, roads, right? I can't think of something more fundamental to economic development than roads. Okay, if that 50 grand is burning a hole in our pocket, we should fund roads with that. That's something that our Constitution tells us to. Okay, it doesn't tell us to create positions called CTEs, which down the road, who's gonna fund those? Okay, in the grant, we're creating CTEs and, you know, trainers, instructors, all this kind of stuff. Who's gonna fund that? And we had, what, 14 people pass through one of the training programs for $400,000. That's not a great return on investment, if you ask me. But anyhow, that's my 2 cents on that one. Regarding the highway department, you know, the highway department has been underfunded for years. If you look at our tax rate, they get 1.2 cents out of our 2.52 tax rate. That's ridiculous. Roads are one of the most essential things that we have here. Everything revolves on roads. We should be funding that. But equally, we need to pay people, but we also need to be thinking, where do we save money? And that's why I say, when you look at that $2.52, our tax rate, there's an awful lot of money going somewhere else to non-essential stuff when we're talking roads are defined in our Constitution. The Franklin Street Stormwater Project, I was looking through that data, and you know, I see that Turner, on their contract page, they have subcontractor default insurance, builder's risk, insurance and payment bond. I know we're gonna be doing some things to the people that foisted this project upon us in the first place, but that's the kind of stuff that we should be holding these people. They came to us and said they're gonna build us a building. They should have taken into account our architect and all that stuff, but I know we're working on that, right? Right? All right. I was originally gonna say something about the sheriff's office, about the $310,000 for outer load-bearing vests. To me, that sounded a lot like tactical gear. But I talked to Commissioner Wright, and he assures me that this is just to take the weight off the deputies' hips, and it's going to be a safety issue. I'm concerned about militarizing our police. So I just wanted to make that point because I made notes here, and now it looks like chicken scratch all over the place. The last item on my, oh, no, sorry. SRO grant, step increase for remaining positions. We're gonna basically fund that out of ARPA money, right? That's where that money's coming from, but well, if that money, so that's gonna be every year, year over year increase. We've got all these people coming to you, they've pulled out the check, the credit card, you're gonna have to pay those bills pretty soon. You know, and I'm worried about that, for your own sake. And the last thing I might, thing to talk about, election commission attorney request for funding. I read through that document, and I'm a little concerned, because I see, you know, we're basically dealing with a pretty high-paid lawyer out of Nashville. Have we seen any bills? How much is that costing us? And where's that funding coming from? I'm concerned about that. Just like with a few years back, when the school board fought a lawsuit over open records, $250,000+ worth of legal fees kind of all of a sudden just went away. Where'd they go? No, they're being paid somewhere, and I'm concerned about that. Mr. Lee doesn't work for free. All right, that's all I have to say. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Approval of the December minutes. Do I have a motion?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any, I'm gonna abstain on this one, so I was not here. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I have no report, Mr. Mayor.
No report.
Alrighty, Mr. Long, I know you have a considerable report, so I'll hand the floor to you.
On page number 8 is the first portion of my report, and it is actually the ARPA information.
Talk about this one. Here you go.
A couple of things to point out on this. This is the actual ARPA report when everybody gets here. There's two groups of revenue. There's your general revenue, which is quite restricted. It's restricted down to things such as waterline grants, COVID-19 treatment or prevention, or broadband, and a couple of other items. Then the other items, the revenue replacement, which is generally anything that's allowed to be purchased from the government funds, as long as we're following procurement, a couple of other items. If you go down through there, we're showing like $2.5 million unallocated for the general and about 1.1 for the revenue replacement. We need to remember a couple of dates. December 31st of this year, you have to have all those money under contract, or we're gonna lose them. By the following December, you have to have all those funds out the door. So you're really running into the last thing, and a couple of them that brings up particular current concerns is the maintenance building. There's $1.7 million actually allocated toward it, but there's actually a lawsuit filed about the building at this point, so it stopped the project. So these are kind of,
That's different.
is it not? It's on the same
It's
building,
not.
but it's just not gonna stop us from, so we can't
The
construct.
lawsuit has nothing to do with this 1.7 million.
So we can build in that building for maintenance of the facility?
No, it's totally different. We're talking, this 1.7 was what was left over from the maintenance building that was being built on the EMS property. The chairman of General Ops says he has a plan that he's bringing forward on that.
But I thought it was the building over there.
Sorry.
So we're at a different
Well,
spot.
Mayor brought the idea of the TRC building.
Well, that's what we.
That's the one
That's one under suit right now.
that's a problem, and what it would have cost, or what it would cost once we're out of that lawsuit.
But do we have a separate, another?
There was.
Let me just run the problem. We got $1.7 million that we need to have allocated, appropriated and allocated.
By the 20
By this year.
Yeah,
So do we have a plan for that?
I will have a plan shortly.
Okay.
Here's my only
Miss-
thought.
Hold on a second. Ms. Boyd.
Boyd.
Second.
It's okay. Okay. So, I would like to take a different look at this revenue replacement. So, y'all know I'm an accountant, so we move money a lot, accountants do. So this is money we can spend on anything. We don't need to feel constrained by time. We could actually take this money right now and pay the electric bill for all our buildings. We can pay it out of this. And then the money that's in the general fund that we would have paid the electric bill, we can come in at a later date with no time restrictions at all and take care of all these things. We can take all the time pressure off, and we can do that. This is totally unrestricted.
What I think
we
she's
can take care of it.
kind of leaning toward is every year you buy a significant amount of
Services.
ambulances and patrol cars. It would be very easy to buy the ambulance, as long as you followed federal procurement. It would need to go through Miss Norfleet and back to our consultants. But if you bought the ambulances and patrol cars instead of this building with this, those same dollars then would be available.
No, I-
They'd be sitting in the
Yeah,
Yeah,
general
no, I
rid of all your
understand.
time
I
constraints.
understand
So it would
that.
take all of this, take the time off, we'll have our money, there's
So
no
we-
doubt, we're not gonna run up against any time.
Is that a motion?
Well,
Discussion still.
yeah, well, we
But, yeah.
we don't have a motion on the table at all. We're kind of out
No,
of
we're
order right now,
discussing.
so.
This is
Well, we
a-
don't even have a motion up for discussion.
Yeah, we're
just
having
entertaining-
discussion.
Well, we're not, because we don't have a motion for discussion.
Oh,
He's on his report. I'm not
But
trying to be,
with the
I'm
funds-
trying to be harsh.
I'm sorry.
But the thought process of the funds being fungible, that's a very good
Yeah,
thought
it is a good
process. You
thought.
go ahead and grab ambulances, sheriff's department, and then you have that money local to kind of get some of these time constraints going before they
Yeah.
get up to us. For instance, like the one for the sheriff's department, mini micro vote link, I don't think they've reached out to Ms. Northfield or the consultants at this point. So right now, these items down there, there's several of these items that have, is not got a lot of movement right now, and I think Ms. Northfield will probably give us a
Okay.
report on it too. That's my concern right now. You are running up against a time frame on this particular funds.
All right.
Are we done with the report?
I think we're done with this one unless you have anything more on that one.
Anything else to go
So
on?
now revenue analysis.
Yes, revenue analysis is the next sheet.
So, point of order.
Go ahead.
So, are we gonna be coming back to ARPA?
Well, we can make, you'd like a motion to discuss?
Yeah.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, go ahead. Who'd like to get in queue?
I have a quick question for
Go for it.
Mr. Lawing, if I may.
Go for it.
Mr. Lawing, is it possible in the future with the ARPA that, I know that some of these line items in general, some of that money has been spent?
Yes.
And same with the revenue replacement, and obviously with the total. Would it be possible to get what's been spent, which would allow us to see what's left in
Yeah.
each one of the?
That's what I was kind of leading to right now, is the ones that are really not spent is that 50, we're not allocating it for them. As far as the revenue replacement is the 50, the 1 point approximate $7 million on the EMS.
Which,
The ARPA, that's-
here, I've
The
got-
50 in the sheriff's office at the bottom?
I usually do some miles for sure, that's working with today.
I just had it up here.
What page is it?
Page number 8.
You know,
Here.
or-
Eight.
Here we go. Here's all those.
Okay, that's not, that where I think that sheet. But the ones I was saying right now that we know that there's not been a lot of movement on is a couple. The $50,000 for the sheriff's office mini microwave link, and that's something that they really need to reach out to Ms. Northfleet and trying to move forward if it's gonna move forward. The other thing is the ECC alert system. If you look at the note, that's only 32% of the total, so the actual committee down there probably, because Ms. Northfleet's the one's been handling we probably need to see if she can reach out to them and see if they're actually gonna move forward on that one. The 406 is the one they did the actual, they were actually doing the surveying last month, so it has got some movement on it. That's one.
But that's probably a small portion, I would think, if it's just surveying.
The next one going, yes, but it's moving forward.
Yeah.
The 379 is the one for all the highway equipment. It has moved forward. It's 76 also. The 2.6 is his actual asphalt that he's bidding, and he's been moving forward on it. The one that's not moving forward, or apparently it's getting ready to move forward, is the actual maintenance facility, the 1.721 million. But my concern is building a building in the next 2 years, you're kind of running up.
So I missed, which one are we on?
I'm sorry, we're on the revenue replacement going, the middle column going up.
Right, I was there, but which one of,
The
Maintenance building number
Yeah,
3.
1.721.
Going from the bottom, the 1,721,000.
Right, I just wanna make sure that's,
And the other one is the EMS, the one that would be the non-COVID treatment EMS center for the 1.76. I believe, and that'd be a question more for the mayor, I believe they're moving forward with the 2 EMS structures right now, they're working on that. So it is moving forward. The consultants, we actually have a contract, and the 1.61, that's the estimates to complete the EMS, ARPA, and what we've spent on the sheriff's department until this coming year when it has to drop off. The sheriff's has already gone on the ARPA, so that money's already tied up unless during a budget cycle, we do it locally.
so,
Go ahead.
You're saying the 1.61 is tied up or not? I just need to know
It's
what's
been
not
spent tied up.
Can we just do the, what's not tied up?
Okay, what you really not tied up at this point is
Yeah.
if you look at the bottom and you go down the revenue replacement, there's $1.18 million that's not got anything tied up to it right now.
But
1 point, no, I didn't write
the
it.
EMS building, maintenance building,
Right, there's
the ECC alert, sheriff's office, that's technically not tied up because it's not. been spent.
They've been appropriated, but they haven't reached out as far as, they haven't started any procurement processes at this point. They need to know, the process is, after you guys appropriate, they should reach out to Ms. Norfleet to determine what we need to do on the federal procurement. She contacts our consultants, they work together, they go through purchasing, and we actually start procuring the items. These items have been appropriated, but on the 50,000 and the 101, there's been no movement toward procurement, unless I'm mistaken, toward Ms. Norfleet that I'm aware of, consultants, or toward my office, so they're kind of sitting there. The 406 has got they were surveying it, they started the surveying process. The 379, Toby's spent that. The 76 spent, the 2.6, he's gonna spend that, he's spending it on asphalt. The EMS building is one that's moving forward, but that's one I'm concerned on the timeframes. You may wanna think about buying ambulances and patrol cars and using local capital to do the building itself, to go and move it out of the prospect. You've kind of got the same time restraints on these 2 EMS buildings. They are moving forward, but actually having all the contracts tied up and all the cash out the door by next December is gonna be potentially a push if you run into any problems. But they are smaller buildings, so it's not impossible by any means. The next amount up through there is for the health department. That's the one for the health department grant that was discussed back at the budget cycle, and I believe it is working with Hal right now moving forward. It's got movement, it's getting ready to move toward the procurement phase, if I'm not mistaken.
We've already done the RFQ for
The architects.
civil engineering.
So it is moving forward. And then when you come up the next side, most of those have been tied out, same thing with the EMS building. EMS equipment, that was the ones you guys bought last year.
Yep.
Long haul improvement's the one Josh is working on, so it's got a lot of movement. Economic development was already, that was the remaining portion that was given earlier to, I believe, Ford Sumner. I have to go back and look. That's the health department grant again on the 661,400 on the general. The $10 million is one that they were gonna use toward the group grant with the county. I believe they went and applied for that. I'm not sure if it's been awarded.
Yes, the competitive grant has been awarded to the city of Gallatin, and we're working on getting a sub-recipient agreement for the $9 million.
That'll need to be clarified because there was some concern on the resolution.
Yeah, that's its own,
That may need to be put on the agenda next
that
time
needs to be put
clarify.
onto the agenda next time.
That resolution there.
That's the 10 million?
That's the 10 million, because I just want to note here. So there was a bunch of screaming that if we put constraints on the 10 million, that we may not win a competitive grant. I mean, I was cast like the devil incarnate over this. And lo and behold, we won. We got the competitive grant, right, Ms. Norfleet? Sorry, I'm not trying to be smart here. I just caught a lot for that. But we got it, right? As long as these individuals actually, as long as these other, these cities sign on to that, we'll win it, right? So anyway, we'll put that on next time.
Here's the only reason I bring it up, because the original resolution that was approved right before they applied said, it talks about the competitive and non-competitive. It leads you to believe that all the funds, it says, be it further resolved that approval of the disbursement of grant funds of the county for this project shall be conditioned on the cities, and they give all these conditions. My question, that's something this committee's going to determine, is this the same project or a different project? Is it subject to this, and if so, do we need to remove the resolution? That's my
Look at me.
question.
Well, look, it needs to, that, well, let's put that
Well, I
on.
mean, I don't know
We'll
this
put that on.
question.
Is there a time constraint on that, or do we need to?
There is in the fact that it has to move forward and it is subject to that December deadline, so it's moving forward.
I know we're asking here, I'm breaking the rules, but
Can
that
you-
does,
can
that
you
seems
suspend
like,
it to her?
yeah, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to ask a question over here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Norfleet, in your opinion, if we've got a lengthy agenda tonight, I would like to have this discussion during next month's agenda because it is its own discussion and it probably also has implications for legislative. Is it gonna be, is it the end of the world if we put this on for next month as opposed to this month?
We're still waiting on the grant contract from TDEC, but.
So there's nothing we can do with it right now anyway?
The idea had been that this $9 million portion of it was going to fund the architectural or the engineering services, to get them moving forward on the design process. So it was gonna be, a portion of the engineering fees was gonna come from this funding. And it was where we could, the funding's already been budgeted, so once we get that subrecipient agreement in place with the city of Gallatin, then those services.
When's the earliest we would owe that bill?
I don't know, because the contract will be between, I know at the last meeting, we're meeting every 2 weeks, at the last meeting, they were working to get those engineering contracts in place. We meet again this Thursday, so I'll have a better idea on that time frame this Thursday.
Okay. Ms. Boyd?
So I just wanted to go back to the discussion that I started inappropriately during Mr. Long's report. So I would like our budget committee to consider what I am presenting, that we could use this money out of operating expenses that we would take out of the general fund anyways. And then later, when these projects are ready or we proceed with them, we will have the money in the general fund that we would have used for our regular daily operating expenses. And we will remove the timelines off of I'm just talking about the revenue replacement at this time. And that would be the most prudent thing to do.
Do you have like a line by line on which you would replace
I would take
each for
every
each?
bit of it that we have remaining, all the money, and pay it from our general for our daily operation. We'll be leaving the money over there.
No, I understand that, but I mean.
So,
Why don't we,
Go ahead, Ms.
could we have me and Ms. Norfleet to look, because I think what she's talking about is the revenue replacement. And not
that's what I'm talking
necessarily
about right now.
operating, but there's certain expenses we could put toward that. And as I'm saying, we could buy patrol
So-
cars and ambulances in kind of this 1.18 and this other, put it in the general and the other to spend out.
Let me suggest a motion.
and I'm even
Go ahead.
thinking more than the 1.18. Because we've got buildings in here that we might run into problems with. So the most,
The 27 million,
guaranteed-
we couldn't do that with the 27.
no, I know that, over on the, yeah, we
Ms.
can't. I
Boyd,
know,
let me-
I'm just
let me-
speaking specifically.
Let me suggest
to the
something
10
real quick and
minutes.
see if you would be good with this motion. It would be your motion, and that would be to direct Mr. Long and Ms. Norfleet to build a sort of a pro forma for what a potential movement of funding from here toward just general expenses that we may have, to include like purchases that we might expect, that would come out of our general fund, and then present that at next budget. Would you be interested in making that kind of a motion?
I understand what you're saying, but I can't imagine that we couldn't spend all that money. We spend a lot of money every day. If you're talking about a pro forma of what we could spend it on, I'm sure they could find plenty of things to
We'll try
spend
to
it
see
on.
what we can do if I can spend it can, but you gotta remember, you've got the revenue replacement, which is
Right, and I'm
heavily
only
restricted.
speaking to the revenue
But it
replacement
still
at this
falls under
moment.
procurement and stuff, a couple of other requirements, so we'll have to look at all that.
Can you spend the money? Could you
Going
find?
forward, you can buy ambulances and patrol cars, clearly, if you procure them.
Between now and 2026.
Yeah, well, if you procure them, you could buy those and use that money and leave that money in local.
We've already,
Or
I mean,
take some
we've already had some of that we've been spent, where that we potentially.
But you could do it.
And we just expanded.
Right, you could expand it, or see if this year's has been bought yet, I think we've already bought this year's. But either way, we could go back and see if there's some that we can qualify. Now, we'd have to look at it with Ms. Morfleet and the consultants, but it would only be the revenue replacement, because The general revenues have restrictions.
Right, I'm
like
clear on
water
that.
line, broadband.
So this
and
discussion
other
is
things.
only on the replacement, right? now.
Predominant, we can look at the other, but I don't think there's gonna be,
I know on the
a lot of
other,
movement on
I'm
that.
working on it, I'm thinking on the other.
I just have a point of clarification, because I'm confused. I thought we had till December 31st, 2024 to make the
Well,
decision.
you did.
you've got to have it under contract by the end of law. You've got to 25 to have the cash out the door, so you're gonna need it basically, all your contracts for construction, architectural, everything done, and every bit of cash out the door. So if you do a contract for this building and it goes more, it's coming from local. If it goes less, then we're gonna lose it if you tie it into that.
Okay, so everything has to be contracted.
It's gotta be tied up.
It's gotta be appropriated and allocated.
Allocated and contracted.
Okay,
And then
And
you're
that's
gonna
why
have to
I'm
have the
trying to
cash out the
protect
door.
this.
Let me get,
on the next piece.
yeah, okay.
Mr. Mansfield? I don't have anything.
26 out the door, yeah.
Hey, are we
Mr.
back in session?
We're not, actually, we'll go back into, do we have any other questions for Ms. Norfleet? All right, I'll pull us back into our,
Ms. Norfleet said 26, let's make sure we're on the right time frame here.
Yep, December of 2024 for the obligation, but you had mentioned 2025.
I'm sorry, 26.
26.
Okay.
Yeah,
Two-
spend
two-
it by 26.
Two,
Yeah,
26.
26.
I said 25.
Any other
26.
questions for Ms. Norfleet?
1 year,
Okay.
2 years. to spend.
I'll pull us back under our typical rules, and then, Ms. Miller, did you have a question? Did you have
That
a
was
note?
my question.
Ms. Boyd?
So I would like to make a motion that we protect this revenue replacement by doing what I'm suggesting, by using it for regular, as much as possible, and I don't see why we couldn't use every bit of it right now, for general
Second.
fund operations.
All
And
right.
it's protected and we never lose it. The money's sitting over there, and there's another side item to this. We set this money over there, we unappropriate it for the moment, and we've got all these expenses coming in for the courthouse. We just saw the $600,000 hit. We might change our mind on building a new EMS in Westmoreland. Once the courthouse, we get another $600,000 bill, we might be rethinking our budget a lot. So I'm just saying, right now, we move this, we unappropriate what's remaining here, and we use this money for regular operations. That's my motion.
We have a motion and a second. I'm gonna get in queue on this one. Anybody else in queue? I'm good with this in principle. I just wanna know kinda like what, if we do that, I mean, in principle, I understand, we start draining over here, and then we're saving over here. I get the idea. The only thing I worry about on that is if there are any of these that are in some current phase of being,
That's what I was asking the mayor.
some kind of current phase of being spent that would then cause these to have a problem with them. So I would like to amend that to state basically what I had said earlier. I'd like to amend your motion to direct the law director, or excuse me, direct the finance director to work with the county mayor's office and get a summary of everything under the revenue replacement, which is not currently appropriated or allocated. And then you have that mapped over to expenses that we will have moving forward.
This isn't appropriated, but some of these aren't actually spent. You mean they don't have a contract?
That don't have a contract.
They're not encumbered.
They're not encumbered. They're not unencumbered. So that's what I would like to do. I'd like to amend that for that. Is there a second on that?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Boyd?
So as far as discussion, my point here, what I'm making is an accounting suggestion. I agree with you that we do need a project list, so to speak, of all these items, and I would love to have those. I'd like to put those on hold and unappropriate them for the moment. That money's gonna be over in the general fund. It's just an accounting trick is all I'm suggesting. My husband, I'll tell you, I'm an accountant. I just play with tricks. I'm saying we're moving the money from over here and we're taking it over there. Any project that we have in process right now, the money's still sitting over here in the general fund. We would have used it to pay the electric bill, but now we've paid the electric bill, so the money's still over here. But yes, I desperately would like to see a list of where we're at on all these projects.
Why don't we just have me and Ms. Norfleet work with our consultants and see what cost that we've already spent can be legitimately allocated to revenue replacement?
Yeah, that's basically what I'm
And then see
suggesting.
what other costs that we generally spend, like, if we don't find enough that we can legitimately allocate, then look at costs that we generally spend, like ambulances and sheriff's department can spend quickly and get all this off her. Because we're gonna buy this next year anyway,
Yes.
and get those all off her plate.
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, I would hope that we could, this is just a suggestion, that the maker of the motion and the second would include Ms. Boyd in maybe a committee because she's very well aware of what she's talking about here. I think it's very wise to have Ms. Boyd and you as the chairperson, Mr. Loring sitting in with Ms. Norfleet, come back to us with some kind of serious suggestion at the next meeting.
Mr. Hyde, here's how I'll shift that, because I don't want to run afoul of any sunshine law. So what I would do maybe is ask Ms. Boyd, as part of my amendment, would be to ask Ms. Boyd to work with, not myself, just to ask Ms. Boyd to work with the finance director in order to bring that back.
Well, that would be fine, and that would not, my intention would not have been to evade any kind of provision of the law having to do with the sunshine law.
No, I
They
was
can
not
always
suggesting.
notify of any
Yeah.
kind of meeting, but that's fine. But I think Ms. Boyd, since she's the maker of the motion and very qualified, should be involved.
And just to be clear, I was not, did not mean to suggest you were
Make sure.
suggesting that.
I'm not missing something, but I think if we just come back, Ms. Boyd and any of us, and we just come back with a listing of possible allocatable expenses in the future, and we make no recommendation, I don't think the subcommittee would be subject to the sunshine law for not making recommendations. We're only bringing back a list of expenses.
You're just counting things up.
Right, if we do that, I don't think it would be subject to sunshine law.
It's a list for you to deliberate.
That's
over.
But
correct.
that this committee will deliver, we'll just bring a list back
That's-
in, no recommendations as far as which ones to take. Would that be correct? Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, on 1.5, I did send out a projects update to all the commissioners that gave you an update of where we were with all the capital projects as well as the ARPA projects. So if you look through your emails, you're welcome to refer to that for an update.
got it, and thank you, sir. This is a little different than that, because this is really that would be helpful, but I think this is actually a rundown of what has been allocated and encumbered. Ms. Boyd?
So I think what I see here is two pieces. I'm asking for an accounting transaction where we move, I'm asking for a vote on, my motion is a vote on moving the revenue replacement and using it for daily operations to protect that money, take away the timelines, and then move these needs. We'll have the money sitting in our general
Right,
fund.
but
So that's
we're on
one.
my amendment now, though.
And then and the amendment's a second item. With that, I'd like it to be on hold for the moment. I'd like a list, so I'm making a motion that we do this accounting transaction. But as
Yes.
far as the list, I'd like the list, but if we're moving it, I would like to unappropriate the money that's over here until we clean it up.
I know, that's your motion. The amendment is
To get a list?
to have, no, the amendment is to have now, because I've changed it, if the second's good with it, is to have the finance director, you, and the mayor's office to study this problem. It's more than just a list, and to bring back an accounting, a deeper analysis of the accounting. That's
What can be allocated.
what can be allocated. So
I have a
is that,
question.
are you good with that? All right,
I
Ms.
have a
Mills.
question. I guess I'll be the bad guy. I mean, if they have a whole nother month, they could allocate every penny of it between now and then. So I'm gonna vote no on your amendment.
Okay.
Just for that.
I think,
Okay. Go ahead.
so we can't have both. Either we vote to do this operational thing and protect this money, or you're saying we vote to postpone it to another day?
I think your amendment makes it.
Your amendment's
Yeah.
not, it's a different
Your amendment's a no to
motion.
her.
Well, it's just, you can make an amendment to, I can make an amendment to change the name of the color blue in all of our, that's just the way it kind of, but I get your point.
Be out of order, 'cause it wouldn't be Germaine.
I think she's wanting us to go. I
But
think she
Ms. Klein, go ahead.
If your I have no problem with your amendment having those two get together, provided her proposal or motion goes through anyway. So it ties the money up until they get everything figured out, which is probably our next meeting.
The only question I have about that is that gonna break something? If is there a contract we're about to sign that would move one of these things forward, and now we're gonna kick that can down the road because it got tied up? That's what I'm trying to avoid.
Well, any contract that's been executed, we could say that is excluded from the
That's what
for
this
instance,
amendment's for.
For instance, he's got surveyors going out to Oak Grove. We pay that contract and then we stop. We don't make another step forward until we hear back from those two.
That's
That's,
pretty slow anyway. Probably not gonna be a lot of movement in 1 month anyway, to be honest.
Mr. Mayor, you had your hand
Okay,
up.
well, I guess my question is, do you want us to stop? We've got RFQs going out, the surveys going out. We talked about possibly killing one of the EMS stations. Do you want us to stop until y'all make a decision?
That's the question here. I don't,
I
like,
don't wanna waste money.
I don't wanna
Taxpayer
stop.
dollars doing surveys and all of this if you're gonna kill the project. I don't wanna waste taxpayer dollars. So I don't know.
And I agree, I don't wanna waste taxpayer dollars either. I think that 3 or 4 weeks, we'll have it back and
So
everybody have time.
I just want to be clear, are you asking the mayor's office to stop on these projects during this month?
I have no idea where they're at on any of it. I mean, I know that we have a
But-
list. So are we in the process of purchasing, may I speak?
Yes, yeah.
To suspend, I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he just
in the-
directed me.
Here, let me tell you, so this is
So I'm
what I
just-
emailed to you. Let's see, so let me go back here. Let's see, we're not gonna talk about the courthouse. Health Department, grant contract has been executed with State of Tennessee for capital investment grant. Request for qualifications has been advertised for architectural and engineering firms. That's due in January. The Hollows Drainage Improvement Project. Design is completed through the OHM advisors. Community meeting was held in November 23, presented project update to budget December 23. Next phase will be proceed with the easements. Then to obtain pricing for construction with Sumner County Highway and advertise the bid process if necessary. Oak Grove Volunteer Fire Department, we've got a PO out for the survey right now. So that's about to get started. The soil survey and soil investigation to be completed first to determine the area necessary for the project. Then we'll create the legal description from that survey, which the Resource Authority will execute a quitclaim deed. At that point, January, we're releasing the request for qualification for architectural and engineering services. The broadband, that's in place, and then the EMS building. We've identified land in Westmoreland, doing a survey on that. The appraisal should be complete as soon as we get quotes from appraisers. We're working with the Board of Education on area in White House. Talked with the Director of Schools today. I think we may have some land in White House that the schools will gift us to build a station in White House. And we're going to release the request for qualifications also for architectural and engineering services for the Westmoreland and White House. We're hoping to put the same building on both lots. And then we've got some others down here. Most of those are in place.
Is that it, Mr. Mayor?
That's it.
Mr. Mansfield?
Can you please tell us what location that the Board of Education in White House, where is that location, please?
It's over there near the school system.
The elementary
almost-
and the middle
yeah.
school complex?
Yeah, it's one of the fields there. They were going to build a stadium in that area, but it's my understanding that has changed the location, so it may be available for us. I've got to look at it on the map and see if it would work for EMS.
You're still in.
Can you explain what you mean by there was gonna be a stadium built, a stadium for what? For whom?
It's something with the school system. They were unsure if we could use that land, so they were gonna do something with athletic facilities or not, so it may be available for us at this point. So we're I'm just letting you know, I had that discussion today. It's not fully fleshed out.
I guess when you say they're not, is that because you're working towards building an EMS station, or just because they've abandoned that together regardless of what somebody else wants to use it for?
That would be a question for the director of schools. I didn't ask him anything about what they were doing. I just asked him, hey, is there an opportunity for us? And he said there may be. So we're looking, and that will save us having to buy land in White House.
Mr. Mansfield, that it? Ms. Boyd?
I did read your list today. I appreciate you emailing it to me, or to all of us. I'm not suggesting that we lose any money here. I'm just suggesting that we take a moment. Of the items that you suggested, I mean, the Oak Grove we've been working on for a year and a half. I personally went to meetings and asked for that. It's not coming today, tomorrow, maybe next week. The items that were in process, we're not gonna lose money on. The money's still gonna be over in the general fund. I'm just saying, let's take a moment to look at it. This month, last week, we just got the new bill for $600,000 for the storm drainage. I'm just saying, we need to take a moment, secure this money because of the time frames, move the other money over here and take a new look at it due to the courthouse increased cost.
And the accounting issues, I don't have a problem with. Y'all move the money accounting-wise. What concerned me is when the comment was made that we may not do an EMS station. So at that
Yes.
point, I want to stop spending
Yes.
money on it if we're not going to do it. That was my concern.
And-
However y'all do the accounting is your business with our finance director.
And I would like to stop for a moment and see where we're at. I mean, the courthouse just became a topic in the last few weeks. And we've just incurred tremendous new cost. So do we not take a moment to reconsider? And that's what I'm asking for.
So if you can
So-
put, so do you? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, so my motion is on the table.
Well, we're still on
Oh,
the,
I'm
we're
sorry.
still on the amendment, and the amendment is to basically do what you're saying, but we're not gonna stop. The difference between what we're saying is, yours, it seems like we're putting a stop to anything which is potentially currently even encumbered, and mine is saying, no, we're not doing that, we're gonna continue what we're doing, but we're gonna convene this working group for those things which are not encumbered, which known to not be encumbered, and then come back and look at those.
Okay, I understand.
I'm gonna call the
Ms. Miller.
question.
All right,
Second.
all right, all in favor of calling the question?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so all in favor, we're on the amendment, all in favor of the amendment? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, well, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, win some, lose some. Let's do this.
What's the actual motion?
So,
we restate?
the motion is to cease work on,
Okay.
well, go ahead and restate it.
That's not her motion.
Well, go ahead. My understanding from what you said was that we would cease work on anything that was under the revenue replacement until we do a reassessment.
So that we all know. I mean, we
What is that,
heard,
not the so, I mean, just, but that's what you're saying, cease work.
well, there were many items on here we didn't even know what
But,
they were.
right, but you're
So,
saying to
yeah.
cease work.
Yes.
Okay. You
So
got
that
it.
by itself,
That was what we voted for.
I'm for your
Oh,
amendment
wait.
with that, just to clear it.
Well, yeah, but my amendment failed.
Right, no, I just.
So now
wanted-
I mean,
I'd like to make a motion
go
I
ahead.
think there's a little bit.
that Commissioner Boyd and Mr. Lawing work together to ascertain what the details are on the monies.
How about with the mayor and Ms. Norfleet? Because what I think the thing is, we need to identify previous costs that's easily identified if it's allowable, and future costs. That way we can pay these money that's not time restricted, but I'm not sure about that.
I would change my motion to include Ms. Norfleet and Ms.
I'll second
And
it.
maybe the mayor.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, go ahead.
Can you restate it, because everybody's
That-
talking at the same time? so-
Commissioner Boyd, Mr. Lawing, Mayor Isbell, and Kim Norfleet work together on discovery on where these monies are and where they can be positioned in expenditures. And we had a second from Commissioner Miller.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Now we can go to item B, under your report.
Item B is the revenue analysis, and I'll go through this one really quickly. If we go to this page right here, which is the second page, which is the important one, it shows how the revenue variances, and I'll go through quite a large amount of variances, and I can go through why we've got the large variances.
Okay.
Item number one, if you look, we're about $3.9 million estimated dollars up on property tax. About $3 million of that, about 3 points.
Are you on
About-
this document right
Are
here?
you on this sheet?
It's on page number 2. I'm sorry, let me slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
Page number 2.
All right.
If you go to the right and you start looking at the variances, it has, on the far right, the estimated percentages. Besides that, your variance on the budget. The first thing is, things look very good right now. A couple of things make them look very, very good, even better than they actually are. And we'll go down, the first one's property taxes. We're showing 2.72% above, or slightly below, like 2.75% above budget, which is about $3.9 million. Of that, we think about a little over $3 million will go to the schools. The reason being, back when you originally did the budget, you left the property tax the same, but you budgeted them MOE. So what happens is you've actually got the budgeted property taxes for the year before, so they're gonna be significantly above revenue projections. That's why there's $3 million. The next one, if you look, we're about 148% on trustees collections prior year, but if you go down a couple of lines, you're 620,000 short. What happened was the trustee's office actually has 2 years of delinquent taxes. They didn't turn over 1 year to the clerk and master's office, so that item's gonna be short, but the other item's gonna be over. And that happened because they missed the time to advertise to turn over the taxes, so they're carrying an extra year. If you go down through there, most of them's got, smaller amounts or variances. They all look good by and large. Sales tax, the same thing. We actually budgeted MOE, so when we did that, we brought sales tax to the year before amount, so they're gonna be much higher in the schools and the debt service fund because we put them back at the year before amounts.
Does that increase their MOE
No, because it's based on budget.
budget? Thank you.
So what they did, they basically budgeted MOE the year before, but actually left property tax and, sales tax automatically stays in tax, so they're gonna have additional revenues. You go down to wheel tax, the same thing. The wheel tax, because the school budget MOE and the school and the highway are percentages, they're budgeting on the year before, so they're 478,000. Those are your large variances down through there. And then the next one is adequate facilities tax. There's been a concern on the economy and a concern of hopefully slowing down growth. That's what we budgeted based on, but right now I haven't seen any real changes in adequate facilities tax. If anything, it's actually still up. Same thing on your building permits. So right now, by and large, we were concerned about sales tax because last time I was in here, we were showing a downward pattern. I can report that pattern has changed, and I believe this past month that we've received is about 6.7% above last year's actuals, which is about normal again. We had a bad month or two, but it's went back to more of a normalized number.
I have a question about taxes.
Yes, ma'am.
I just learned about this today, and I have no idea if it's big or small or what it is, the volume. I was told that Sumner County has the most parcels divided as any county in the nation, or something
What do
on
you mean
this.
divided?
We're dividing up big lots and making them smaller.
So
So
we
it's-
have parcels, yeah, we have 90.
we're making more parcels than any other county.
Large.
So my
It's always
question
number.
is, the trustee's office was explaining to me about how we do rollback for the, how much money do we get for that? Can you explain to everybody what I'm talking about?
John may will explain it too better. It's basically when they go off of green belt, there's a rollback if they use it for certain things after it comes off. Is it 3 years?
It's a 3-year rollback. Greenbelt is designed as an agricultural benefit for 15 or more acres. You also can get it for satellite parcels. But basically, the way that program, if you do subdivide and fall under that 15 acres, there is a rollback where the taxpayer has to pay 3 years of the unrealized gain that they had. So,
Is that significant? Because they were showing me transaction amounts, they were showing me they had a lot of volume. I just had no idea what the numbers, it's small.
Not a whole lot.
It doesn't make a lot of dollars.
Yeah.
That, I just didn't know, I had no idea, I just wanted to ask.
It does make some, but it doesn't make a lot of dollars. And we can, report,
That's
but I can show
fine,
you what
I
the
had no
numbers
idea
are
if it
at.
was $5,000 or $500,000.
In the long term, it does increase your tax basis, but the rollback itself doesn't create a significant dollar.
Thank you.
but that is the end of the revenue report unless somebody's got some questions. Things look well, but they're actually a little bit artificially good looking because we budgeted, the school's property tax, sales tax, and the real tax was based on the year before, so. we're gonna-
Based on what?
On the year before, because of the.
We assume no growth.
You assume no growth because schools took MOE, well, the sales tax only goes two places, the schools and debt service, and we took debt service the year before to match them up. And then your will tax only goes two places, highway and schools, so we matched them up, so those are lower amounts. And then adequate facilities and your, building permits do not seem to be significantly impacted by anything like that.
Highly inadequate.
They're continuing on though. Our concern was those were gonna drop off because of the interest rates, but you can't see, we haven't seen a significant fall down on any of those. And, if anybody, unless anybody's got any questions, that's the end of the revenue analysis. Item C is actually just the memorandum telling all commissioners and interested parties the financial statements are available on the website, and if any commissioner wants a copy, we will print a copy. And then the next one is the transfers. Item A is what you guys approved last month for Josh, that's just the accounting for it, but since I'm not, you technically, I think through your minutes approved it last month, but you may want to review it and approve it again.
May want to, what did you say?
You actually approved it and said to go ahead and move forward and bring it back this month, but probably best for the minutes to still approve it, even though it's an action you've already taken, because this is the actual details.
Do we need a motion on this?
Make sure
one?
that I would.
I motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Item B is where the sheriff's department's asking you to take money out of health insurance and move it over to overtime, and they do have extra money because they've had vacancies and other
I'd
items.
entertain a motion.
Motion.
We have a motion.
Yep.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
The next item is just other inter-budgetaries, and that is actually adjustments between line items. There's nothing unusual in there compared to previous years, but if anybody's got any questions, I'll be happy to answer any questions about those. Yes, sir.
So on page 14, Hendersonville Library is down to the bottom, $200 for landscaping needs. I'm just curious what that is, because when you read the resolution, that we're kind of in limbo and legislative, the city of Hendersonville is responsible for all the landscaping, so I don't know what that $200.
Probably something small they've done over there. We can pull it if you want me to and see what they've actually done, but.
Is this has already been spent? or-
Yes, these are small items they've spent. They're so small, we didn't even really, there's been some questions about who's responsible for what over there at the.
I know, we're in the middle of trying to figure that out, so it's still ongoing.
But anything small, we've not really questioned. I think, most of like the maintenance, the mayor's been working with them on that to try to get an agreement.
Is there any note on this one, Mr. Mayor?
No, I can get you an answer and email it out.
Is there a motion on this?
Well, I'll make a motion to investigate what that's for. And,
Yeah.
So-
Second.
Okay.
I'll send you something out.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
There you go,
I
okay.
do have some more questions.
Oh, go ahead. Mr. Mansfield?
So the county buildings, $5,000 for the Hendersonville Library repair. I know in September legislative, we had asked the county mayor to proceed with that. And is this the total repair, or like the total cost and Hendersonville is reimbursing us, or do we know what portion?
No, this is the total repair.
That's
You
the
know, We
total
have
cost.
not, until y'all work out an agreement, we haven't asked for anything.
Okay, I just wasn't sure, so I want
Yeah,
to make sure.
right.
We have to show the entire expense, so we have all of it unless we
If-
reimburse.
If I may, that was one of those deals that were so necessary that we said, let's cut the check and we'll deal with
Correct, and that
paying
was
it
back in
later.
September.
Yeah.
And I remember that, but I just wasn't sure what the total bill was. So you're confirming this is the total fix for that?
Right,
And it was exactly $5,000?
Well, there's probably some already money, there's probably already money in the line item, that's probably to keep the line item.
Oh, okay.
Anything
We
else?
can look and see, but, it wouldn't have been
Ms. Boyd?
exact.
So I have a question, on the first line item with the GNRC dues. Did they go up, or did we forget to budget for them?
We've always historically paid those to the county commission. I went and looked at that, and last year they were $19,602. This year they're $21,069. They used to be 35 cents per capita, and they went to 37 cents per capita, so they had an increase that we didn't know about. It's a small one though.
So in total, we pay how much?
Last year we paid $19,602 and some odd change. This year we paid $26,069, that's the difference. But yes, they did increase their cost from 35 cents per capita to 37.
Mr. Klein?
And what do we get from
Yeah.
them?
I was about to ask that.
They help with, my understanding is various grants, and that'd be more for the mayor, probably.
Mr. Mayor.
We could talk with them.
Most of it has to do with the MPO and the road project is really the only benefit that I see. And we can use them for special projects, but we don't.
Public notice.
We
Why do
don't
we,
use them for
what
special
break?
projects.
Well,
This is a
go ahead.
reallocation.
Go. Was there-
So why are we paying dues?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. What breaks if we just don't do that next year?
I'll ask that question.
Ever again.
Okay.
I'll make a motion
Go ahead.
to ask that question for the county mayor
Yeah.
and report back to us.
Second.
Yeah, I've already written it down.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'd like to ask the finance director to bring us a list of all dues that we pay, because I think we have dues, a lot of dues we pay.
Motion
and
by the
that we
county.
don't understand.
We'll get somebody to start working, it'll take a while, because there's like probably 100 new items across the county.
I made a motion, she made a second. For
All in
that.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
They get somebody to print in the county.
And that was a motion to request all the dues.
We'll just get somebody to print in the county.
That's fine.
And bring it next month.
That's
I don't know
fine.
how much to do.
Okay.
Not hard.
Mr. Juan, continue, please.
Um,
Or actually, this is all interbudgetary. Any other questions on interbudgetary? Okay.
I do
Ms.
have
Boyd.
one. On the second page, I was looking just because the idea of a new courthouse and the SQL service license. I just want to ask, are there any more license? I mean, did this one just pop in? Is there going to be another one next month? I have no idea. What?
These were things that were budgeted, and they were all under construction, so we're just moving them toward the appropriate line item. There was hundreds of thousands of dollars budgeted for IT equipment over there, so it was part of the original estimates. These were, like the water, the runoff water was not, but this was part of the original estimate.
So to be clear, we don't see any more right now.
We're not thinking that's gonna cause us to have to ask for additional funding. If that's what you're asking. There was
Mr.
plans,
Klein.
right?
What does SQL stand?
SQL.
SQL.
It's a IT request.
Oh.
It's for database,
SQL
database management.
It's a database software.
It's, well, what SQL is a language, and what they're requesting for here, I'm sure, is a software platform that allows us to make queries on large data sets.
Okay.
Ms.
And just
Boyd.
for clarification, I'm sorry to take people's time, is this because we're moving the judicial from the sheriff's IT to our IT?
It's not the sheriff, it's everybody else.
It's from the state.
Yeah, it's everybody but the sheriff from over at the courthouse. It's being
Everybody,
moved over to
and
the
that's why
county.
we need this.
Yes,
Thank you.
and there'll be new servers, and it'll be a whole new building.
Any other questions on your budgetary? All right, all in favor, I'd entertain a motion to approve, subject to those amendments. All, motion, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, we have one no,
Two
Mr.
noes.
Mansfield. Two noes. Oh, Mr. Mansfield and Ms. Miller. Okay, moving on, you have anything else, Mr. Long?
That's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Moving on to old business, City of Gallatin. Mr. Mayor, I think you will probably have the update for this one.
I have not talked to her about the 900,000. We've been working on the stormwater issue. I'll be happy to place a phone call on that tomorrow.
Yes, please. Okay, no, we will take no action on that one. Moving toward new business. So item number A1, County Mayor, $50,000 for 3-star grant. Mr. Mayor, I'll let you elaborate. This is the second reading this past.
Second reading, yeah, we sent out all the information. If anybody has any questions.
I'd entertain a motion. Motion for discussion.
Motion.
For discussion.
For discussion.
Motion for discussion. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, who wants to get in queue? Mr. Brown.
Last month, I talked about this right here being a Forward Sumner project. And on page 51, talks about where the money goes. And working with a workforce intelligence template be developed by Forward Sumner. And another 25,000 goes to schools for CTE. And then the other part On page 57, it talks again more in detail about the work intelligence template. But here again, we've got a lot of other things that need to be done with this money rather than that. And I just honestly feel like this is a payout forward Sumner.
Any other discussion? I'm gonna get in queue on this one, but. Okay, well, I'm gonna get in queue. I mean, I'm not necessarily, you can make an argument one way or the other about the funding. I just wanted to make a note here that there is this huge stigma about Forward Sumner. And several of us participated in a Forward Sumner meeting not too long ago, and out of that Forward Sumner meeting came a unified request for both the county and all but I think one mayor to request impact fees. So, seriously, and just before this meeting, I was actually on the phone with William Lambert to press for impact fees. So I know that we all hate Forward Sumner, and there's some reasons for this. Like there's some Forward Sumner is, in my view, has always been a double-edged sword, because there's definitely a pay-to-play aspect to this that I don't like, where it comes to Facebook, Meta, and other kind of actors that meddle in government affairs. But the flip side of that is, we're speaking in a unified voice to get impact fees pressed up through the state. Now, I know there had previously been some movement toward that, but it's nice to be able to have pretty much every actor except one on board with that. And I think there was some groundwork laid out by members of this committee ahead of time. I think some of it had to do with some hardball that we played over the water grant. But I also think that forum played a role, because we had that discussion there. Anyway, just want to make that note. Mr. Mansfield.
I just want to clarify, I don't know of any legislation that's moving forward in the General Assembly for impact fees for getting out of the 2006 County Power and Relief Act. And we passed a resolution asking, but nobody's carrying it, nobody's doing it. The subcommittee that's killed it 2 years in a row, I think, because the Home Builders Association and the Realtors Association are heavy campaign contributors to them. And the chairman takes all his money from PACs, not even from citizens. They are killing that, so I don't know if it.
Well, I'll just say this is brand new information as of today, because I just got off the phone with William Lambert, and I believe Mr. Spicki is going to be carrying this for us.
What is he carrying?
Well, there will be 2 bills that will be carried, and I think he may be carrying both. Now, I didn't jot down the note. Mr. Jones, you were sitting there when we were talking to Mr. Lambert, but there are 2 bills that are being looked at. One is basically getting rid of the 2006 County Relief Act and allowing for the counties to set impact fees. The other one is another one which we discussed, which was to add the county as a interested party in the annexation process, and those two kind of work in tandem.
Yeah, the HB 28 Lambert passed last year, but the Senate subcommittee said no, and they wanted to heavily amend it, and that's where it's left out. And I've checked with Lambert on that, and he hadn't changed his tune on that one bit. So there's nothing guaranteed on annexation.
It's not guaranteed. But.
And the impact thing, Sapicki was such a crappy, it was just a bad bill, because it only included 2 counties. And it just wasn't a good bill that they put forward last year. And so I don't know, you can't say anything's really gonna be happening, because that's not true, unless we see something. But I'm more skeptical of anything that they're saying as far as a bill, or if they're presenting something. I question what they're going to be bringing forward, because I know that
That's what we're on.
I'm going to assume one of our major cities and it was heavily against the annexation bill and got it killed in the subcommittee here from Sumner County. I'm not going to say which one, because I'm not accurate, but it was the one that probably was against the impact fee discussion. But I just want to clarify on the record, because that's new information, but because I've not heard any of that yet, so I just had to clarify.
Well, and to be fair, none of this it's not out there yet, and it likely will, there's a lot that can go back and forth on it, but I just wanted to note that there is movement. There's considerably more movement than there has been in the past. So, Anyway,
Not many more days for movement. Things are filling up there.
government is
Sorry.
meant to move slow. All right, so, the motion here, what was your motion, Mr. Brown? Did you have a motion or did you just have a comment?
No comment, but I will make a motion to allocate this money somewhere else that's needed in general fund.
So, Mr. Chairman, this money can't be allocated for anything else. It is earmarked through economic community development for this project.
And this,
Well, so, Mr. Mayor, so is there anything, so this, you're saying that,
No matching funds. It's a economic community development grant.
but if we don't, are you saying if we don't allocate it to this effort, it goes away?
We just tell the state we don't want it.
Okay.
isn't this gonna help? Maybe you can read through the lines, it's gonna help any high school kids.
Yeah, it's a project that builds a dashboard environment for high school kids to be able to interact with the job market, learn what jobs they want, different things like that. It's a program that's, it's a collaboration with TCAT, with Ball State, with Sumner County Schools, and then, of course, Forward Sumner's just kind of the umbrella that brought everybody into the same room.
So it's basically gonna, if a kid doesn't, correct me if I'm wrong, please, because I'm just trying to make sure I understand this right. If a kid doesn't want to go to a 4-year university, but wants to go through, say, a trade like heating and air conditioning,
They can start
would something like this be beneficial?
This gives them the environment to learn about that, to where they would go for it and so forth.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, well, we have one here, go ahead.
I have a son that's at TCAT right now, and it was 100% funded through the, I think the Tennessee Promise. So if they want to go to trade school, it's already paid for.
Were you gonna make a motion?
I'm making a motion to approve. I mean, we can't do anything else with this money, so why don't we just see, it's a
Second.
small price to pay.
I mean, I
We
don't know. I
We
mean,
can't take it and use it anywhere else.
They're gonna game it down?
I don't know. I mean, we don't have anything else for it, I mean.
No.
I
That's
mean,
where you're in
this
a-
is a good use of the money if it's.
So we have a
gonna help.
motion and a second, Ms. Boyd, and then
So-
Mr. Mansfield.
If we do not take this money, it goes back to the state and they reallocate it next year in the grants. That's where the money goes. If we don't use this money for this project, and I've heard about this project, this is the 3rd time in a new wrapping. If we don't use this project, it goes back to the state, they'll rewrap it next year and hand it back out for infrastructure again in their competitive grants. I spoke to them.
I just see it's a small amount to, let's
Well,
see what they
let's-
come up
Let's stay
with.
in point of order.
Mr. Mansfield.
So I was just reading this. It's talking about hiring an employee with one-time grant funds. So how is that employee gonna be paid next year?
The position would die.
It's not an employee.
Okay, there's no employee.
Motion to suspend.
Your motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Norfleet, does this hire a full-time employee?
No, it does not hire a full-time employee, it'll hire a consultant that'll help us with the workforce intelligence template, build out the website upgrades. So it's going to take all the data from different data houses and it'll fine tune that data for Sumner County in particular. The tools will be provided this consultant will work with the CTE career coaches in Ball State and the TCAT to build this template that will house all the data for the different career clusters that are necessary. They've looked at, a couple of them that they've looked at is advanced manufacturing, healthcare, and then the education with the CTE career coaches. Those specific career clusters that the CTE career coaches are trying to place their students into. The website will house specific to Sumner County data on what jobs are available. So if a student wanted to go into welding, the website is going to pull all of the jobs that might have been available specific to Sumner County. So that student can go to this website and see what jobs are available. It's gonna be specific, hopefully, to keep people here in Sumner County. And it'll let them know what their potential salary range may be, what education is required to go into that career. And it'll be a website that the students can go to with assistance from their career and technical education and career coach, to pull this information, if they're interested in that specific career.
Mr. Brown and then Mr. Mansfield, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, when we walked into, to the building, we walked through the unemployment office. So what is this gonna do that the unemployment office should be doing?
This is gonna connect our students here in Sumner County that,
Well, I mean, can't they go into the unemployment office and do the same
well,
thing?
it's to help guide your students to find what career they're interested in. It's just pulling off of, like, right now they do, different, I don't know, do you remember the name of the program, John, that they do that kind of dictates what careers that student may be interested in?
About ONET codes?
Potentially.
For the federal government, ONET codes that have different career technical paths.
Yeah, but there's different career clusters that they go through, but,
Like the military has that.
but this is gonna build.
So
off of-
they're gonna be tested? Is that what this is?
No.
Cause that's what the
this is-
ASVAB does.
This is a website that will take the data and it'll be specific for, like I mentioned in my summary, like, it's gonna show the job openings, the wage trends, the job growth by industry, occupations available. So they'll have different data points that'll be housed through this website that those students can pull up, like I mentioned. If they want to be interested in welding, it would help them show what jobs are available. It'll also do job placement. We're gonna work through Ball State and the TCAT with the chambers, and we're gonna do apprenticeships. So work with the different companies within Sumner County, if they're willing to take on a 16, 17, 18-year-old and do a summer job placement. This will be part of that, pulling all that data together.
Well, I know through the CTE program, that's what they're supposed to be doing.
That's what it's
And
already
this-
doing.
This is gonna complement what they're doing. This is gonna be tailored specific.
Cause I mean, my wife was a CTE teacher, and I know, and I was a teacher too. And I know how all of those schools, especially in Metro, they were combined with the particular, industries that they were an academy to.
Correct.
And, I don't understand why
This is gonna be 50,000 that goes towards those website upgrades, so that.
they should already be doing this.
Templates. And that's part of, I mean, we've worked with the state, what the workforce cabinet here is doing in Sumner County is being looked at as we are doing what we should. And they've said that what we are doing is a good job, and they want to use this as a model all across the state of Tennessee. As part of our grant application, they asked us what we've been doing the last few
I'm
years.
gonna maybe echo our chairman and say that on this one, likely people's minds are made up one direction or the other, but I won't cut off conversation here. So, Mr. Mansfield.
I'm confused on page 44, it says goal 3. It's develop Sumner County regionalization plan for water infrastructure. Why is that included in this dashboard, this career pathway dashboard?
You had,
Is
as
that-
part of the 3-star, we had to have 3 goals. So 2 of them are centered around workforce development, the third one is for the regional water. So back in April, we met as a stakeholder group from entities all across Sumner County with cities, counties, chambers, healthcare, education, and 3 goals were formalized. And ours,
So this is just a general
We had-
30,000 foot
yeah,
overview.
we had to show those as part of our 3-star application. So of the 50,000, you had to spend it on over the next 12 to 18 months back then. We now only got about 12 months left. You had to come up with a project based off of your 2-year period towards one of these 3 goals. And what we had chosen was 2 of the workforce goals for the workforce intelligence template and then assisting with the career and technical education, career.
So this $50,000 is going for goal 1 and 2.
Yes, correct.
Goal 3 is just because you have 3 goals.
Correct.
Oh,
And
You
we-
just fill it in.
And we've been working through other avenues, like we talked about the water grant, to apply through goal 3.
Any other questions?
That is true.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, I think,
I'm abstaining because I've abstained on this for the past 2
okay,
years.
we have one abstention,
It's the same project.
4 noes, I think, 2 yays, motion fails. Okay, we'll move back into our standing rules here. All right, so 3-star grant fails. So second reading for Finance Department, this is for a new payroll position. This came out of the Financial Management Committee. Any further comments on this, Mr. Long?
Again, last month.
Any discussion on this one? Not entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Okay, so Highway Department, this, as amended, is $225,000 appropriation from the fund balance for salary increase and related benefits. I'd entertain a motion for discussion or
Thought this was
deferment.
deferred.
Well, it's not deferred, we were waiting, so I'd
I'll
entertain a motion.
motion to defer.
We have a motion for discussion, second. All in favor?
He just said a motion to refer.
Oh, who got?
I motioned for discussion,
I
you
said
motioned for.
Who went first?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna give
Did
it
you
to
go,
you
did you go
first.
motion to defer?
That's what I
All right,
was
motion
gonna
to
say.
defer,
It's a refer. back
or
to
refer,
committee.
yeah,
refer.
refer back to committee.
So whichever way it's gonna go, I would
Second.
say
Okay,
that-
motion and a second, okay.
I need to comment.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure, this has been in highway twice, and I'm not sure, other than tonight, what happened to it the last time, so you might want some clarification on that before you.
That's why I motioned for discussion. 'cause
Still discuss.
We can, I mean, we can still discuss that. So it's been to highway.
The deferment was because it didn't hit the right committee, and I'm not sure which direction highway stuff needs to come, but it had been on highway's agenda the last time it met, about 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
And,
They
I
didn't
just
vote
wanted
on
y'all
it.
to be aware of that.
They did not vote on it.
I don't, that I
It's
do
been
not
there, but it
know.
hadn't been voted. So
I
has
do
there,
not.
has there been a vote on it?
No.
Okay.
Well, the thing
Ms.
about
Boyd?
It's,
Oh, I'll suspend the rules in a minute. if needed.
To clarify, our rules say it has to come to us with a positive approval recommendation from the committee. That's what our rule page says. And we don't have that.
Any other discussion on this one? I'll motion to suspend the rules to.
Second.
All right, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Ellis.
yes, I brought it to, the Highway Committee on November 13th, for full transparency, to make sure that everybody knew and understood. And of course, when we talked about this at length, we talked about it for several, probably half the meeting. And my whole goal was bringing it to, on November 13th to that meeting, was to talk about what I'm trying to do and try to understand the effects, because, man, how many times have we talked about it? The thing is that I'm definitely in pain here, and the department is too, and I'm losing people because of pay. And, I asked for more money, it was brought up tonight. Of course, I asked for more money going in the budget. And, I'm not coming in here to cause trouble. I feel like there's been times in the past, y'all really helped me. But the thing of it is, since July 1st, going with today, it happened again. I'm up to 9 people that's leaving because of pay. And what I'm trying to do, no way we can do it all at once. One of the things that I've been told by commissioners is, man, let's get to the next budget and, we'll try to do our best we can. I'm just asking for a small, just a step in the right direction, because what I've got and what I need y'all to understand is the state is giving us extra money that we could really help our infrastructure and paving. We got $300 million that come to the counties across the state. Sumner County is getting 5.1 of that. And it's gonna take me 3.5 years to do them state aid projects along with the other projects we got. But it's gonna be a real injection into our system, because it's gonna help us get our road grade up from the level of where,
are so far behind. And what I wanna do is, I've talked to several of you, the thing that I've got, the crews that I've got right now, I'll compare them to anybody I've ever had in highway paving. They're great, they're tremendous. Since I've been in office, I'm pretty proud of the fact, I went back and looked at it today, and I got the paperwork, I can give you the roads, my list. We've paved almost 75 roads since I've been in office, it's amazing. They've done a good job, and I know they've done a good job, because many of y'all sitting here have complimented their work. They've done a great job. But retention is the cheapest factor that we can do with these people that we have. They're awesome. There's a reason the private sector is wearing me out, because they can. And these people are highly experienced. These aren't people that has no experience, that just been with me for a while. They're important. And while the state is looking at us and going, hey, we're giving you this extra money, y'all can go pave out all these roads. If I don't have this crew, I can't do that. What would really be sad is if I lose 3 or 4 more guys off my paving crew, and then I'm taking this extra money the state, God bless them, have given us to go and inject these extra roads and to do some good with our infrastructure and play some catch up, and then turn around and have to give it to a paving contractor who doesn't need any work, who's gonna give me high prices, and we're gonna do a third of the work for twice the price. And then that money is wasted at that point. And so I'm begging, I'll get on my knees. I am very passionate about this, and I'm worried. I've never seen anything like this, ever in my 40-year career. This is important. We're talking about a little over 200,000, just to take a few steps to show the guys some good here, that, hey, we're trying to do the right thing. This is not what we're stopping at. This is a 3, 4, 5-year deal. We're just taking a few steps toward the right direction. And guys, I'm serious. I'm very passionate about this. I love what I do. And I want to make the best roads for Sumner County possible. And we've got millions of dollars the state's having to give us. Please don't let me waste that on a contractor. Please let us work together and get these roads paid for our county people. And this is a in-budget transfer. I talked with David today, when we did our budget, we were talking about the price of gas and sales going down. CTAS predicted we're gonna have lower sales. And across the state, in certain areas, they have. It's been 7-8%, but we're still in a growing market here. And for whatever reason, because of that, we've got extra revenue. And I'm taking a small part of that revenue that we've set aside for our fund balance and want to take care of the most important asset I've got, is my people. And I can show you what they've done since I've been in office, and it's not me. I don't want any of the credit. They're awesome, and I want to keep them. And if I have to go in and try to get people, hire people to do this, you have to be experienced to run pavers and rollers and do the things we're doing. I'm running equipment some days. I'm trying to make this work, and I'm just asking for help.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Mr. Jones?
So just a clarification, this did come before Highway 2 months ago. It was brought to us as Mr. Ellis said, a point of transparency, because he was just asking for a transfer from one section of his department to another section, and it was I'm letting you know what I'm asking the budget to do for us. It was not a non-voting item at that time when he put it on the agenda then. When I saw it on budget this time, 2 months later, I asked for it to come back to refresh our memories, and it was put back on there as a discussion item only, not a voting item. So I do believe this is going to end up right back here in budget, because it's just a funds transfer. It's nothing that we have to approve extra funds. You're taking from, you're either gonna have a bunch of supplies over here and nobody to use it because the people are gone, or you're gonna have, 6 of one, half does the other. You're gonna be able to not have the supplies and have people. So
It's
new
new.
It's a new appropriation.
It's a new appropriation.
It's a new
Totally
appropriation.
new
But
appropriation.
the rest of your
It is
point,
new
it's a new
money.
appropriation, but the rest of your point is taken. Ms. Miller?
I have a question. Can I ask Toby?
Yeah,
First of all,
we're out of our
So this 250,000, wherever you're taking it from, you're not gonna end up with a shortage there and come back and ask us for.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vaughn clarified.
It's a new appropriation.
It's a
Totally new
budgeted
money.
from fund balance, it's a new appropriation.
Oh, it's not a transfer?
No,
The
it's not.
transfer has to be between line items.
That's a
So
new appropriation.
To be a transfer, it would have to be, for instance, from a supply item to a supply item for asphalt to asphalt. This one's actually from fund balance, so it is a new appropriation, we'll have to go to full commission. As Toby's pointed out, it says it's from fund balance, but we may wanna go back and look at gas tax and see if it's gonna bring extra that you could kick gas tax up. I have not looked at that yet, that possibility, because.
Well, I guess I looked at it as a transfer because we looked at the dollar amount in the fund balance, and this was less than what we feel like where we would be at. And that's the way I was looking at it, David.
Toby, this is 225,000 to get you to June 30th, spread over your entire workforce, which is how many people right now?
Probably, I'd have to look 57, 58.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
And we probably got 45 in the field.
So this is a bump of how much per hour per worker?
It's in that $2 to $3 range.
$2 to $3, okay.
Mr. Mansfield?
Well, what's two things? This is an appropriation between now and June 30th. What happens on July the 1st? What are we taking from and to replace it, or we're gonna have to appropriate new money?
This would change the maintenance of effort.
This would change the maintenance
You
of effort
have,
as well.
on the highway department, has one maintenance of effort, you have to meet a 5-year average on his budget. That's all you gotta do is meet a 5-year average. So your local revenue, so basically, what you budget for is property tax, road tax, has to meet a 5-year average. So what this will do is it could potentially decrease his fund balance, but it would not affect the maintenance effort.
Okay.
Well, it may.
He may, if he couldn't balance his budget,
Yeah.
then we'd have an issue, but it wouldn't affect your maintenance effort because it doesn't affect our local revenue.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I come in the office with 0 extra money in the fund balance.
Go ahead, Mr. Mansfield. Mr. Mansfield.
So, okay, so this is new money that when we do through our budget cycle, I guess it's gonna be a $450,000 request come June.
Yes.
For next year, that's new, it's $500,000 more in recurring funding every year. And, okay, that's just trying to.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
That's the implication.
And, I mean, when we've talked about not doing this in the middle of the budget cycle so many
Yep.
times, so, I mean,
Yep.
that's my problem with this.
Yep. Well, Mr. Brown and Ms. Boyd.
My issue with this is you have a subject-specific committee that's supposed to be looking at this. And they're supposed to be the subject matter experts. But it got put off 2 months. And it was just discussed. It was never passed or anything else like that. And now we're asked to make this decision. And that's why, we have these committees, is to get some kind of speculation or recommendation or something like that from that committee.
To be fair, Mr. Brown, I mean, Mr. Ellis has had this, and you could, not trying to place blame, the committee chose not to do
I know
anything
that.
with it. So.
That's what I mean,
So.
Your rules say that you have to have approval of the committee.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Mr.
They were
Boyd.
told that they couldn't vote on it and to discuss
It
it,
was a
that's what they said.
transfer. They were told it was a transfer.
So, it wasn't a votable item, that's what they just said in the meeting earlier, so that's, I mean.
So they missed, so earlier the committee misunderstood.
Everybody thought it
Well, it's a
Everybody thought it was a
transfer.
transfer.
I understood it to be a transfer.
That's, I mean, it's bad information.
It is.
Yeah,
It
no.
really is.
I misunderstood, because it was going from the fund balance
This is a
to.
lot of money.
Ms.
another
Boyd.
item. I just,
Well,
yes.
just one second, Mr. Ellis, Ms. Boyd.
So one of the reasons that I asked to defer these items, and specifically this one, is Highway Committee was concluding, they were still asking for more information. They wanted to know how much the state highways were paying. But I would also have a question regarding the 15 employees that have quit. Have any of them come back?
No,
Will they come back after it's,
I don't know.
Oh, 9
What-
left?
What I've got right now, I've had 9 left since July, and I've got other people that have offers that are waiting to see what I can do. And then I've hired people going, well, are you gonna get the pay up? I said, I'm gonna do my best. Just work with me, and I've not promised anything.
I'm gonna get my own cue here. Well,
So-
go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
So I just
I'll
want to
get you
wrap
and
up.
then
I
I'll
would
get you.
hope that, I would ask that the highway committee would be able to tell budget how many employees we routinely run at highways, because I have no idea in this whole discussion. I think I've listened to all the highway discussions for the last several months. I've never heard what their typical employment is, how much their employment goes down and up with winter months, because construction up and down and people moving. I haven't seen any data other than money to throw at it. So I'd like this more thought from them.
Ms. Miller.
On here, it says, Toby, that he put this in his, I guess, email or whatever, his request or whatever. It says, the people that I've hired have come to work here with a contingency of raising the pay scale. How many people did you hire saying, I'm gonna get you a pay? I mean, is that what you did? Is it in their contract
No, I
or?
sit there, you know, when you sit down and do an interview, and I've had some people that have worked for me before that's come to work there, and they're going, what can you do for me? Can you? I said, well, we're in a situation here that I'm gonna work toward getting the pay scale up, and I said, we're working on it. And there's nothing that's promised to that, but the bottom line is, I can't tell anybody that anything that I want to do because it's not in my court.
Correct.
So you're not, so you didn't, just to be clear here, you didn't make a hire with a contingency or promise on something?
That's what that sounded like.
Yeah.
That's what-
No, I made
I got
a
it.
hire with, I'm very hopeful that over the next few years we get the pay scale.
So let me, I just want to get my own cue here, because, and you and I have talked about this, and I've told you, I told you that this conversation was going to happen here. And this, just a second, this one vexes me, because and you know what, I knew this was gonna happen after we did this for the sheriff's pay. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew this was gonna happen. Because it sets bad precedent. It sets very, very, very bad precedent. On the flip side of that, and this was why, you know, I was the lone no vote on the other one, sometimes the practicality of a thing, laying overly hard and fast to rules can cost you more in the long run than looking at a practical problem in the face. And I believe you when you say, and I know what the numbers look like for the state funding, and I know what you're saying there. What you're basically saying is, hey, I've got X amount of funding, the vast majority of this is gonna go toward material. And I can use my own personnel that are paid for, that have my own, where I know my margins, and I know my people are gonna do it, and I can track every penny. Or I can pay a contractor, and I can pay for their overhead and their profit. Which one do you want? And so that's why this really, really, really bothers me, because I really want, and you and I talked about this, I really want to just say no to it, because it didn't get passed through another budget, or excuse me, it didn't get passed through another committee, and it's outside of a cycle. But the thought of I don't mean anything bad about a contractor, but the thought of wasting money on a contractor when we don't have to, and it'll only cost me $220,000, we'll waste more than that on the freaking contractor. We were likely to waste more money on a contractor than it would be to put our own, so it's really vexing to me.
Well, 'cause the
Anyway,
thing-
that's my comment.
The thing of it is that the money that, the deficiency of not paving 50-plus miles a year creates a scenario as you go across year to year over several years, that money is just building up. And I've got paperwork showing over the last 6 years, we got a cost of almost $10 million based on today's prices.
I know, you've shown me the flow down.
And so that's just one other item. If this goes bad, and I hope it don't, you know, I want to do the work. I want to have the people. And I wholeheartedly thought, in my mind, simple mind, it was a transfer. And so I told everybody that, and I thought it was a situation to where it was a discussion point. Anytime that we went through highways about something, I've had to go back to highways and do a discussion to make sure that they understand what I'm coming to the budget committee about. And we've had discussions about it, and I did not think it was a votable. It was something to vote. It was to make get everybody on the same page that what I was bringing to budget and being totally transparent. And I know they understood because there was calls the next day going, I really appreciate him being transparent about this.
Mr. Klein, and then Ms. Ford.
Toby, I'm a numbers guy, like you're a numbers guy. And I agree that the quality I'm seeing out of your guys is second to none. I mean, all you gotta do is look at Broadway, what the state did. A pathetic example of paving. But have you calculated now in your tenure as the head of the road department, what your cost, your average cost per square foot of replacement is? Do you have any idea?
I think you did do a cost per mile. We did that
Yeah, we
during
did
last
cost per
budget.
mile. We're
Yeah.
around 125 a mile right now.
125,000?
That's on that's one lane, not both lanes.
Oh, and that's 112-foot lane? Or is it a 10-foot lane?
It's 10, 11 foot.
Okay, 125,000 per mile.
Yeah, I remember this discussion during last. Ms. Scott?
So, just as a point of we want more highway, I want to remind y'all, I was the only one in the commission that voted against giving highway employees another 2 hours per holiday. That's 30 hours more a year of holidays per employee that the commission, I didn't vote for it, approved. And that was highway we didn't lay down, that we said wouldn't cost us anything and would make it more convenient for highway to take a holiday. So I have a little bit of trouble going back now and saying I don't have enough employees to get the job done when I increased 30 hours per employee because it would be more convenient for them on their holiday accounting. So I'm just having trouble with that. You know, either we want more roads, it's more convenient not to have more roads. I just want to throw that out there.
So I'm just gonna counter that with the market. What's the average, what is somebody who one of your guys are, I mean, I'm not sure that I'm gonna vote for this, by the way. I've tussled with it, but at the end of the day, we can say all day long that we're gonna have more, we're gonna take people's, holiday, but like, they'll just leave, because the market is what the market is. What are you paying your paver right now?
Which position?
What is the positions that you've lost? Yeah, I just want apples to apples here.
I've lost truck drivers.
So what do you pay a truck driver?
I'm starting truck drivers out at $18.50.
And what is their competition giving them when they leave?
They're in the mid-20s.
Mid-20s. So if I'm gonna leave, I mean, I'll take away my benefits, I mean, I'm gonna leave for that too, so I don't know, I don't buy that
I'll
argument.
give you an example of what Terry's talking about, and here's the thing.
Well, the holiday. It's a benefit.
We work 10-hour days, 4 days a week. And so you take people that were coming in that were new, that's got, or let's say they've worked there for a few years and they've got a week's vacation. And so on election year, you got it's either 16 or, I think it's 18 paid holidays on election year. So 36 hours of their vacation time would have to come out to give them a full check because we were only paying them 8 hours on a paid holiday.
All right, any other?
I don't know anybody who gets 18 paid holidays except for government employees. I mean, I'm just sorry, I mean, that's like.
Well, I think we've got 15 this year.
I know, but I don't know, nobody's got 15 paid holidays except for government employees. So, I mean, that's a pretty good benefit, but I mean, if we're talking about salary, we're talking about benefits.
It's an excellent benefit.
It is, I mean,
it is.
But if the pay's not what it should be, it don't really matter.
Well, I mean, are we talking pay, or are we talking about?
It is a fair point, yeah, go ahead.
I can't support this without outside the budget cycle. I don't have our finance director up here
TDOT
showing
gets
what
the same holiday.
the total cost is of the employee, of the benefits, salary, retirement, TCRA, all those things that we put into it that the public sector doesn't put into, private sector might not put into things. So I don't know what the total compensation is versus the hourly. We've gotten the same deal with the sheriff's department, the same arguments when you look at total salary. And so and then you're looking at $500,000 of expected, that's just money we gotta start spending July the 1st, you know, it's automatic, but not to say we can't do it, I just don't know, because I know we've talked about debt rolling off and using debt services, and we all have acknowledged that we have county services that have been neglected because everybody's just focused on the schools, and that the sheriff's department, highway department, EMS, or whomever have been neglected in pay scales. So I think everybody is definitely moving towards that. The SRO thing was a totally different beast because the money came in from the state then, and so it's like it was money available. So it's I don't know if are we getting cash from the state right now for this? Do we have money being put in the bank account for this?
Well, actually, we were just, sorry, because you grabbed like, this actually addresses this potentially.
Something that happened, and you guys recall back in the budget cycle, me and Toby had an amount for the current year and the next year budgeted for gas tax. The state association came back and said they were highly concerned about the gas tax, so I cut it last year, which was wrong, because what I originally had was correct, and we cut the coming year. One thing that may help, we couldn't do it tonight, but I could go back and look and see if his gas tax is going to bring in regular reoccurring funds that may deal with part of that issue. It may, that may offset part of this issue.
Talking about for the 225,000
Instead
or for the
of
450?
well,
We're gonna be obligated in July.
Well, we can see how much extra you think you've got in his gas tax versus what we budgeted. But I've got to go back and look at it really close and conservative because we're still fairly early in the year. Because there's a lag, but I could look at that for next month. But
Go ahead, now I'm gonna make a motion, go ahead.
Well,
You got a motion on the table.
Well,
yeah,
And a second.
Well,
And-
I'm gonna just say something real quick.
Go ahead.
Well, and like I say, that would give us enough time, if it's referred back to committee, and then bring it forward. That way we have all the information.
Well, he never asked me for that. He just mentioned
Well, I know,
that as a
like I say,
possibility.
Go ahead.
Well, because I was listening to them, so if I get what you said wrong, please correct me, but with the sheriff stuff, we all know that was from the state through a
Correct,
grant.
and we got the money immediately.
And I'm glad
It's not- it's
so
comparing
glad you
apples to
brought that
oranges.
up, though,
It's not the
because
same.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I had verified that they wanted, the proposal was, correct me if I'm wrong, 12 new SROs, but we agreed to 5 with the sheriff's department. So I'm just mentioning that because, this is how it all played out. That they felt it was safe enough with the 5 that they didn't need the 12. So at that point, we created a subcommittee to look at step increases, because personally, I have a problem with a 20 or a 10, 20-year veteran of any department getting paid similar to a guy that's been here a year or two. Long story short, Commissioner Boyd, David Lawing, they got together with Chief Deputy Craddock. They worked out through a lot of work a plan that's it's a long-term solution. There was talk at the time they wanted us just to dump the money. Some of the employees wanted us just to give them the lump sum and just worry about it another time. Y'all did a great job with a long-term solution. I would like to see a long-term solution, not just employee pulls out a help wanted ad and says, well, this company's paying $2 more. Where's the value in a step increase when you come to work for a company? If you say to the employee, if you're dedicated and committed to Sumner County, when you get to this year, here's what's going to happen for you, instead of playing this game of every time, some companies out there offering more money, having to do this.
So I'm good with referring this back, but what I'm gonna do here, because I think I'm gonna make an amendment, and it'll probably fail, but I'm okay with referring it, but I think what Mr. Ellis is basically asking for here is, he is concerned that we will end up losing more efficiency in terms of roads paved, costing more long-term dollars if we have to give those to a contractor in order to not waste state funds that have a time ticking on them. And I don't like that. I also, for all the other reasons that were stated here, have several concerns about it, but I'm gonna make an amendment, and I think it'll fail, but I'm gonna make an amendment to appropriate $100,000 from a fund balance for salary increases and related benefits. So the total would be $100,000. So it would have to be spread out over, it's not $100,000 for just the salary, it'd have to be spread out to account for all of it. $100,000 for those for this. That's my motion, or that's my amendment.
Mr. Chairman, can I add a piece of?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think this is gonna come up in the next vote after this. Keep in mind, everybody, that the highway committee only meets every other month. This referral would push it back 2 more months.
Do a special call.
And-
Do a special call.
And also,
Do your job.
there was nobody there that didn't see the need. It was about whether or not.
Well, then y'all should have voted on it.
It was about whether or not there was no vote available, but it was whether or not there was enough funds for it. So the questions are gonna come back to budget for us to be able to make our decision on it. There's gonna be questions asked about whether we can afford to do it or approve it.
The way
Just
this,
keep that in mind.
I understand, and I'm just gonna note this, and I'm gonna take this back and restate, but the way this is supposed to work is that the highway or emergency services or what have you assesses a need and makes a recommendation, do we need this or not? Like whether or not we can afford it, or how much we can afford does not have to be, all that we need at budget is yes, we agree that this is a need that needs to be done. But we don't have that per our rules. Nevertheless, I'm gonna make an amendment, it may not even get a second, for $100,000 for highway toward this end, not the 225 that was asked.
And I know you to be very straightforward, you ain't gonna sugarcoat nothing, and you can kick my butt after this if I put you on the spot, but you and I have had conversations, no secret about the sheriff's department, what's come up tonight.
Yeah.
And I asked you point blank, I'm not holding you to it, but do you think that this would trigger a taxing, this 100,000 amendment that you're proposing tonight? Do you, in your mind, and again, I'm putting you on the spot, I'm sorry.
I highly doubt that.
Point of order,
but-
how
go
can
ahead.
we both defer and grant half of it? I don't see that.
Because it's basically changing your motion. It would be.
So he's gonna defer half
He's gonna
of it?
he gets 100,000, but then it would still go back to ask for the rest.
Technically, point of order, we need a second really before.
Yeah, we do need a second, it may not get a second, so. Let's get a second or not a
You said he could
second.
answer my question, if you will allow him to.
Go ahead.
You technically, if he comes in and he's spent this and he doesn't have the money next year, you technically don't have to raise his budget. All you've got to do for the highway department is meet a 5-year average on the revenue.
5-year running.
So it's really up to the road superintendent to figure out how to balance his budget. So if Toby wants to use the money and you don't have the long run, then that's him to come back and convince you guys for extra money. So we're not a force of tax raise unless you're willing to do it. Does that answer the question?
That answers my question.
You have to be willing to do it.
So I have an amendment. Is it gonna get a second?
I'll say real quick before what I'm
Well,
gonna
you
do.
gotta we
I'm gonna make
need-
an amendment to second it, but I
Right.
just want it to be clear that when we come back to budget, if he's asking for extra money,
I get it.
I'm gonna be a hard no.
I get
I'm
it.
willing to, go out and support you on your amendment to give his guys some
No, I
more
don't think it's
money.
gonna pass anyway.
But I don't think it's gonna,
So is that a second?
That's a second.
All right, Mr. Mansfield.
So I need clarification, because I'm not understanding the conversation when you're talking about the state aid and the money going to contractors. Help me, I don't know why you keep saying that.
So
you
the
need to
state
pull
the state has said, you have $5 million, we're gonna give you $5 million toward paving the roads.
Have they given us money yet, is my
Yes.
question.
Do the reimbursement.
Yes.
Can I
It's,
speak?
yeah, I can answer this one, we'll suspend the rules here in a second, but yes, they've said, here's basically a fund you can draw down on.
So
But we don't have human beings to like execute it.
Okay.
You got one or two things.
It's like saying, I'll give you money for a building, but you don't have anybody to build it.
Asphalt
we have this
only or
money?
laid down asphalt, that's the difference. In other words, he can hire people to lay down asphalt, or he can just buy the asphalt and his people
Right.
lay it down. If
So-
you don't have enough people, he can't lay it down.
Right, so if every dollar he's buying, he's taking toward a contractor, is money he can't take toward asphalt.
So
They
how,
charge you.
my question is, when did we get this money?
This was last year.
So the state aid's been coming in for a year, like at 12 months?
You
6
guys
months?
budgeted it last
Yeah,
year.
we've already.
Remember there was an
Yeah.
asphalt line and the second line called state aid
And we were
asphalt?
burning some of that off with the ARPA, we took some of the ARPA. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember that now. So we've had this state aid money, and, correct me if I'm wrong, so we're not able to use it on anything except for hard cost of asphalt?
No, it's toward, if you
You
have.
just said it's asphalt or you pay contractors?
You can
So
do,
clarify that.
because if, for every dollar, so I have, if I have
For
a,
state aid road.
it has to pay for a road, so if I've got $1,000 and I've got a human being who can pave it, I can spend all $1,000 of that toward the asphalt. If I don't have a human being, I have to go pay a contractor, and then they will pave it, and I'll get probably $400 worth of asphalt, because I'm also paying for their contractor, their profit, and their overhead. And that's why it's not efficient. So I'll get more
Jeremy,
miles.
We're getting 15 times of what the normal capacity for each year we would normally get. It was part of the 300 million that the governor gave us.
Coming back to, just, I want to, again, I'm not seeing our finance director show me the charts and the list and during the budget process of $500,000 that starts on July the 1st by moving, or, moving towards that, to make sure that, we can do that. It's not going to be a problem to do that. It's not going to break anything to do that. And that we're planning to do that as part of increasing salaries for the highway department come June
What
budget.
Mr. Long just said was.
I think about the
technically,
gas tax.
We don't, well, we, not, that's part of it, but we don't even, we're allowing this, but that does not necessarily encumber us next year for an additional, let's say where it's $100,000.
So then he loses his employees in June instead of now?
Well, if he loses, I mean, yes, if we say no, if we say no then, if we say no then.
I
Your
get it.
MOE
I
is
get it.
all revenue-based with Toby's department. If you don't maintain the 5-year average, he loses part of the gas tax. There's no other requirement, so for instance, if Toby comes in next year and he's gonna have a $500,000 deficit, and you say balance the budget, he's gonna have to cut line items, whether that's asphalt or employees.
And in fact, that's what we did last year, but we plussed it up with the state aid.
The
That's
only
exactly
way you're
what we
gonna
did.
raise taxes is if you're willing to come over here and vote to raise taxes.
Correct.
Well, I know that.
His isn't like the sheriff, his does have an MOE on the expense side, so his is totally different. That's why it gets confusing, there's different MOEs, his is not expense-based.
Ms. Boyd.
So my question doesn't address what Jeremy's saying. I think he's saying wait till budget so we can see it. And I think Bob's saying highway should know some stuff. My question's a little bit different. I'm asking you an accounting question. We're burning through the state aid first, correct?
We're burning it piece by piece, so we're.
But we'll burn
It
it
has to be used
first.
on a state aid road, that's.
Yeah.
The state aid
A
road.
state aid road has to connect state roads. So
And
you
then
can't
not all
use
of
that
our
as a
roads,
road.
not all of our
understand.
roads
It makes
have
up
it.
about 15% of our roads.
So
your
How
rural
far,
roads
how
don't.
far through it have we burned?
Do what?
Center Point.
Center Point's a state aid road.
I'm sorry.
I can't recall, I think we
Hey,
got.
Toby,
reimbursed-
how much have you been?
I think we got reimbursed for about 6.
How much have you
We're
burned?
around 600. We've done 2 state aid projects
So we're
at
just
this
working through it.
point, and I'm planning on coming in the spring, probably doing 2 more. And
So what's your
I'm
dollar amount
We're,
that you've burned?
by the end of this year, I'm gonna try to do 1.9 million.
Of the state,
Of the state.
That's about what we have. to do.
It's gonna take a
So
little
it's
over
gonna
3
take a
years
while.
to do it with our normal pace.
So you can't grab rural roads, bridges, or.
Right,
rolling,
yeah, I
any of
understood
stuff.
that.
It's only
I
the
just
state
didn't know how
aid
big a
roads.
piece that is. So the house isn't gonna burn down. We got 3 years, we're gonna burn through that state aid money.
Right, but I think his big concern, he's gonna have
I need to
Already.
people turn over, and then he's gonna hire people less qualified and less experienced, and it's gonna cost him productivity,
I
and he won't be able to
understand.
get the road.
I've heard
down.
that. I was in the county building today. I heard that from the trustee's office. And I think I heard something about paying for those payroll adjustments too.
Oh.
Lots of people want money. All right, thank you.
Well, I will tell y'all this, and I don't know that y'all believe this, but this department and what y'all did for the sheriff's department has nothing to do with my situation. I mean, my guys do not watch these meetings. They don't know, they don't even know that the sheriff's department's getting a pay raise. And what we're dealing with is the private sector. What is impacting it is that people are willing to pay more for good
I
health.
get it. It's just the market.
It's the market.
So, any other discussion on this? Okay, so we're on the amendment, and the amendment is for 100,000. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion fails. Okay, so motion to defer or refer back to, committee. All in favor?
Aye.
All
I'll make an
opposed?
amendment.
Oh, go ahead.
So, thinking about deferring this until, back to budget from next month, is there are we able to look at, I don't know, it's just,
We have a
we're doing
special call.
long-term stuff.
Should we look at the state gas tax? There's two things about state gas tax. If you amend up the state gas tax, it will not affect MOE because it's not a local revenue. It can also potentially be enough to offset this, but I need to look at it conservatively with Toby.
Would that make it a transfer at that point?
No,
Or
it'd still be an appropriation. The only thing's the transfers, if you're transferring between two expense line items.
He's already
two
got it
revenue.
appropriated.
It's automatically an appropriation if it's
Okay.
if new money. So Toby just mislabeled it because he doesn't deal with this every day. I don't think there was any intent, but this is actually gonna have to go to the full commission, no matter what you do, it will be an appropriation.
So
Revenue works.
can we defer this to next month to come back with that information and look at it, and that we can make a more informed decision, since the highway committee never went through, per our rules, never went through highway committee to
I
get
think
this
that's what we
information.
voted on.
We already voted
We
though.
voted to do that.
To,
To
To
send
get,
it highway.
take it
yeah.
back to the highway. We just did
no, I
that.
just stopped it.
He stopped it.
He
'cause
stopped it.
he
He
said
stopped it.
was-
Yeah.
You just want me to look at his
We
gas
voted on
tax with Toby to see.
Yeah, what's the amendment?
To defer till February, possibly,
Okay.
in order for David to come back with these numbers to us, so that we.
So defer it 1 month instead of 2 to get out of that.
Correct.
I'll just second it.
And then we can look at the numbers
I just
instead
wanna
of
know
kicking
what,
it back to.
I wanna be able to see and make an intelligent decision, and right now I can't do that.
We can just eyeball gas tax, because that's I don't think you want to adjust your local revenues, because if you do, it does affect your 5-year average. I think you want to look at gas tax is what
Well, I wanna know what the options are, what the implications are, and we're not fully thinking that through, in my opinion, so that's my motion.
I'll second your motion, so.
Defer till February and come back with that understanding of that data and information for us to look at.
All right, we have a motion and a second, Ms. Boyd.
And just as a matter of discussion, I'd like to see that also, but I'd like to highway to have an opportunity to look at it also. They still had questions as they left the table tonight.
And they'd have to do a special call meeting.
Call a special call session.
If I may, if it does turn out that way, that would be my recommendation, so that you've checked every box before February, is that a special call be done. Highways gives their thumbs up, it's up here waiting on whatever it is you all want, and it can move from there, versus you all getting your answers and then figuring out whether it needs to be pulled through them or not.
Well, we can't make highway meet next month.
I understand that, I'm saying that for the benefit of the audience.
Sure, but I mean, so.
I got your motion and I seconded it, but, and I highly,
So
certainly hope that the highway.
Well, how about I amend my motion?
Okay.
Or I'll change it if you're.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm
To defer this discussion till February, and also ask that the highway committee convene 4:30, third Monday, right before this meeting, to go through that process.
all right.
Second Monday, not
Second.
Or second.
Second Monday. But I second your motion.
That's
Any
good.
further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Got that one. Now we're on to the sheriff's office.
Did he make a comment about these? None of these amendments are emergency.
Yeah, no, we know.
Matt, can we have 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's 5 minutes. We can do a 5-minute break. 5-minute break.
He just thinks he's doing this.
Can you get this? Can you pause